So my experiences, I've done about 12 years in product management. I'm the chief product officer here with Zentile at Now Parent. My name is John Zilch. It's nice to meet y'all. Um, and yeah, so I spent about a dozen years in product management at some pretty good product companies too. Intuit probably at the top of the list. Just a really awesome product company. And and before that had spent several years in business operations, so in project management roles. And one interesting thing that I've found throughout my career is that at every stop, we've had homegrown licensing management systems that held us back. And I'm going to talk about some of those stories today as well as we go through each growth lever. And hopefully those will be relevant for what we're going to cover here. And a big part of the reason I joined Zentile about 2 months ago was that I saw this as being a really big problem that can be solved. So excited to be here on this team and working with all of you. So let's set the table a little bit before we jump into the actual growth levers. What are we talking about when we talk about growth? I'm going to talk about this at a really high level, right? I suppose you could look at it as cost reduction, or you could look at it as, I want to book more revenue. Now, we could definitely do a whole webinar around cost reductions with license management systems, but we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about new revenue opportunity today. And if we go down a layer, right, from new revenue opportunities, there's all sorts of strategies we could employ. Two of the strategies that we'll talk about here are acquiring new customers and or selling to existing customers, selling more or selling differently to existing customers. So those are two different strategies or avenues we could go down if we're looking to grow the business. Now, the four levers that we're going to talk about, three, I know most people do groups of three. I'm going to do four. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't figure out which one to drop. I want to talk about four growth levers today. Now, there's all sorts of things we could do to acquire new customers. You could throw marketing spend at it. You could, do sales training. I mean, there's a lot, right? But I think the four that are applicable to what we want to talk about are what's on the screen here. So effective trials, POCs, beta programs, getting people to actually experiment with your software. It's really big. Launching new products, right? So putting new products out there, maybe it's a new feature, maybe a new capability, something that you want people to adopt and you obviously want to capture value out of for your organization. Third one, pricing and packaging. Maybe there are ways we can improve it, right? Maybe there are ways we can reconfigure that. That could also help us grow as a business. And then lastly, upgrading customers. So not necessarily changing the pricing or packaging, not launching any new products out of your R&D group, but, and this is a really good, in fact, I was talking to a customer yesterday who said, gosh, our customers keep hitting their limits. We're trying to do a better job managing that. And I said, well, that's a really good problem to have, right? People are enjoying your product. They're getting the value out of it and going beyond what they're allotted. So how do you help them in a way that makes it a really good partnership? And why I picked these four growth levers, that each of these can be helped with better licensing mechanisms and better customer insights. And those are two related, but really important software capabilities, software tools that I think can make a profound difference for your organization in pulling those levers. And I want to say it again, they're related, right? So it's not you go buy licensing, then you go buy insights from somewhere else. You could do that, right? But obviously they need to be talking to each other. Those insights need to know what type of customer we're talking about. And with licensing, you want some insights behind what people are doing. So everything today, let's talk about these four growth levers and let's talk about them under the premise of how does licensing help and how do better customer insights help? And we'll see some of it in action too. Sound good? Before we go there though, what do we mean by, good software, right? How does licensing and or customer insights become effective? I try to keep it simple here, right? So with better licensing mechanisms, the big three in my eyes or it's got to be flexible. I'm sure everyone here on this webinar, we've all got different models, business models, unless we work at the same company. I can't see all your names, but we're probably all adopting different ways of selling our software and delivering it to customers and having them use it and utilize it. So a licensing system really has to be flexible. And we think about that all the time on the product side and the R&D side at Zentile. How do we make this as open and flexible so it can support any business model? Easy to use is true with any software in the world, really, right? It's got to be intuitive. Robust, is it going to have all the different tools and mechanisms that help you be successful? APIs, what have you, right? There's got to be, it's got to be robust. It's got to just work, as they say. The licensing has to do its job. And then better customer insights, we want it to be, it's right in the name, it's got to be insightful, right? We want those aha moments when we're looking at the insights to say, oh, I didn't know that, right? I wouldn't have known that without this, the business intelligence that's being offered. Is it relevant to my business, right? Those insights might change depending on who you are. And then I think this is probably the most important. Am I going to take action? How do I take action? If something's working, I want to know about it and I want to go double down. Is something maybe not working as well as we thought it would and we were testing it? All right, let's go pivot, right? Or change our approach. So insights need to be actionable, right? And if we take those characteristics of each and we combine this into one big thing, this will help us be really, really successful in our growth strategies. All right, we're going to go through all four. First growth lever. I love this one. Trials, POCs, betas. I'm putting them all together because it's all about customers or prospects trying out our offerings. I warned you about this. I was going to talk a little bit about kind of where I've run up against each of these problems. And I've definitely seen this one a lot. I've probably seen this at a few of the companies that I've worked at, which is we have this opportunity. And usually it's a customer who will say, I'm using widget A. I want to go use widget B, right? I've seen your content. Widget B sounds like it would also help my company. That's a great thing, right? We're all celebrating. Yes, our cross-sell mechanism is working, right? The customer wants widget B now on top of widget A. So what does that customer do? They tell their customer success rep or sales rep. And the sales rep says, yeah, whatever it takes to make you more successful. I just got to go ask my manager. Right? And maybe it's sales ops. And then sales ops has to go ask the manager, can we give this person some access to the product? Because they want to try it before they buy it. And then the sales manager's got to go and talk to someone else, right? Maybe it's legal or finance. And then eventually it gets over to engineering, who's got to go turn the customer on to even use it. And they've got questions, how long do we want to do it? Okay, and we got to remember to go turn that customer off. And then, I want to invite someone else to the trial. You can see how this might just evolve into a bunch of operational tasks that becomes almost unmanageable. And after a while, it starts to do a couple things. One, it sullies your brand with the customer. They're thinking, do they really have their act together? This is taking a long time. Two, customer may have gone and found another solution, or maybe just lost interest in what they were initially interested in. So there's all sorts of downsides to having this long, drawn-out process around getting someone access to a POC or a trial, right? It could be problematic. So how does licensing help? Well, if you've got the right tool in place, you can test features per customer, right? Maybe a customer just wants to test out a new feature, not a new product. You can quickly manage their trial or POC, turn them on, and again, quickly turn them on, turn them off, extend the trial, right? Maybe that's the wrong product and you want to switch over to another product. All of that should be at your fingertips and available. And then easily toggle new trial packages, right? So maybe you want to test a new trial out. Maybe it's for prospects. Maybe you're doing some product-led growth stuff, and you want to be able to reconfigure what you have. So licensing tools can help there. Insights, again, married to the licensing, Your customer insights can now gauge the success of those trials and POCs, right? Are they working? And you can look at them package by package. Is our 30-day trial working? Is our of this product, of that product? And you can look at it on a micro level across different customers. Are the customers actually, maybe I'm a sales rep. Is my customer getting the value out of this trial that they want to? I can see which milestones they're hitting. And lastly, even their objectives, right? With the right insights, we're pulling those objectives in. Maybe we're asking them inside the product, what are you trying to achieve with the trial? Different people at the same organization might have different objectives. You can now marry that to their behavior, make sure that they're on a good path toward converting in that trial experience. So here's a really simple demo, right? I'm inside of Zentile, looking at a product, right? My list of products actually, and then plans. So plan is how I want to deliver the product. Is it a subscription? Is it a trial? And my offering marries the product to the plan. And I'm going to create a new offering. In this case, I'm going to pick my product, Elevate. I'm going to call it the Elevate trial. I'm going to give it a SKU, right? Because I do want this thing to be tracked and unique. And then I'm going to marry it again to that plan of a 30-day trial, right? So this is, in this particular use case, I didn't have a trial for Elevate for 30 days, but I created a plan. I created an offering. I'm filling out a few of the details here on the screen. And now all of a sudden a trial exists, which didn't 2 seconds ago. Lastly, you're getting 2 demos here for one. I want to go into my customer, Crimson Health, and I want to set them up for the trial. So I'm not going to engineering saying, can you hard code it or can you give them access? I am going right in there, assuming I have the right permissions, and I'm going to create a trial for Crimson Health. I'm going to give them an entitlement into that trial. I can even go see over time which of their end users have been also afforded access to that trial. So you can see how easy it is to set up a customer with what they need to be successful. And this, you're actually getting a sneak preview of something that I don't know if anyone's seen it yet outside of our team here at Zentile. We are planning on releasing this later this year, our insights tool, which will tell you how are my trials doing, which ones are at danger of not converting, which ones are looking really good. Maybe I want to throw them a promotional offer, and I can look at it on an aggregated level. I can also look at it at the detail level. And again, that engage column you're seeing on the far right, I can take action. Maybe I send a quick email. Maybe I include them in a new marketing effort. Maybe I alert the sales rep or a sales rep that this trial is happening. Whatever that action is you want to take on a given POC beta trial, we're going to provide that through this new interactive experience. All right, growth lever 2, launching desirable products. So now we're launching new stuff. It's always fun, right? Maybe it's a new feature, maybe it's a new, widget, whatever it might be. And I can still remember feeling this pain at one company I worked at. We were a startup, and like a lot of startups, I see this trend a lot. You spend 99% of your time and effort, or maybe it's more like 90% of your time and effort building the actual product that you're going to sell, right? And doing a really good job because that's your thing. That's your core competency as a team. And then you're like, well, we need a way to manage it. So most teams create something very crude, right? A crude front end because it's only going to be an internal team. A crude back end because you're really just trying to get by, especially if you're a startup. You're not going to invest in a flexible, robust licensing system. You're going to do whatever you need to do just to get off the ground. And that works. That works for the first iteration. But over time, this is where it happened to me. We were trying to do different things. We were trying to have different value metrics for our product. We were trying to create new products. We were trying to set up all these entitlements and permissions for our customers. And eventually it became too cumbersome. And what we had built at 10% of our time building a licensing system, it didn't suffice anymore. And we were sort of imprisoned into what we had before. That just wasn't enough, and that can create real problems for teams, right? Whereas had we invested right, in a licensing tool at some point earlier on in our lives as a startup, it would allow us to move across different offerings and provide offerings that may have had different value metrics, different ways of tracking usage. So licensing, again, can easily incorporate new features into that packaging, right? So maybe I want to give it to all customers who have my enterprise or my platinum service. I can easily put that new product right into the package. Or I can run a beta test for 5 customers. I can flag that product inside our code and say, or that feature rather, sorry, and say, all right, now I'm going to give that feature to these several customers. And I can do that really quickly and manage my beta program. And of course, I can apply counters to new features inside the licensing program too, which makes it really easy to do the math, do the accounting on who's over their limits, who's under. Customer Insights can tell you, are you getting the traction you want out of this feature, right? Maybe it's more of a test. Maybe you're trying to figure out, is it at a point where we can go, GA and release it to the world and go to market? We can see how features hurt or help, hopefully, our trial conversion, kind of tying back to the first growth lever. And we can evaluate usage by customer segment at an aggregated level. So all of that can be really helpful. And you can see here in this, this is a really quick demo, but I'm just going to turn on a feature for a given customer. So I've got a global feature that's by default disabled for everyone. It says predictive diagnosis. It's disabled for this customer. I'm going to go and edit their entitlement and turn it on. Why would I do that? Maybe we want them to beta test it. Maybe they're trying to do something special. I could have also added that feature to a new offering or included it in an offering I already had so that it becomes part of a package that I have and maybe not part of a different package, right? So now it could be a differentiator between your gold and your silver. That's not in this demo you're seeing. That's definitely another avenue that a licensing system can provide. Growth lever 3, improve pricing and packaging. So contrary to what we just saw, we're not building anything now, right? All we're doing is, and this is typically run out of maybe your marketing team or your product team, maybe even a sales team, right? It's usually a concerted effort. How do we think about our pricing and packaging differently, right? How do we reconfigure this? Had a real costly issue at a company that I worked at, which is we hired a consulting firm. Their name is Simon Kutcher. They are the best in the business, and from what I can tell, they've written really good books about this stuff, and they're very expensive, right? So we paid probably 6 figures to have them come in, look at our pricing and packaging, talk to our customers, look at the data. And it was probably, I want to say, a 6-month effort. That's what it says on the screen here. It may have been even more than that for them to come in, evaluate it with their team, and then suggest new pricing and packaging, right? And the goal was it should look entirely new so that we can go in a different direction. And with that pricing and packaging, as you would expect, a big uplift in revenue, because now we know what customers are valuing and we can do value-based pricing against it. So that all was great. We loved their presentation. We loved what they came out with as a solution. Our licensing system didn't allow us to easily make that change. We had to now push back that project another 6 months or so to go in and change all of our licensing so that we could create new pricing and packaging that we could also enforce inside the product. Had we a licensing system in place, right, that wasn't our own, that was homegrown, but something more flexible, we could easily invent new pricing and packaging and then migrate customers to those packages. We could change our entire business model, and we could modernize how we delivered the software. And I work with a lot of customers, even in my 2 months here at Zentile, who are saying, yeah, we're a perpetual license system right now. We want to go to a subscription. And that's really hard to do if you're using, something different. But with a licensing system, it should be easy to make that transition over, at least from the technical standpoint. And with Customer Insights, you can understand which packages result in lifetime value, better lifetime value from your customers. Right? Are these packages actually working? Are people sticking around based on them? What's our churn rate? Everything that goes into looking at that. Identify opportunities for upgrades, right? Our customers, maybe using the right products and could be on a different package, right? Insights will tell you that too. And that's another revenue opportunity. And then I like this one too. Maybe you don't need a consultant to come in and tell you, right? Maybe there's enough in our insights and our data, and this is where we want to go as a company at Zentile. We want to help you with this. Maybe we can tell you what the pricing and packaging could be. Could be a minor change, flip this feature for this one, add this feature to this package. It could be a complete overhaul, right? But as long as there's enough reason to make your customers happy, create value, and to make your organization more money, frankly, capture value, that seems like a win for everybody, right? And a good customer insights package, good customer insights software should call that out if there's an opportunity there. Another simple example, I'm just in our Zentile 2 system here, and you can see I have a standard team and enterprise edition of Elevate Cloud, and they all have different features based on which tier you're taking. Those are called editions. So if I want to add a new offering, and of course I would add a new offering for each of those 3 tiers, but I'm just adding one right now in this demo. I'm going to call it the Elevate Team offering. So that's that team tier for the Elevate Cloud product. Give it a SKU. I'm going to call out the edition was team. And now I'm doing a 1-year subscription. Concurrent licensing, and I'm going to save it. So now I've got this new offering out there that I can provide to customers. In this case, I'm going to go into Berkshire Hospital. They're on Elevate Cloud Standard. So they're on our first tier, right? But it's time for them to get upgraded. They really like our service. They like the product. I'm going to change their offering right on their entitlement to Elevate Team. That went really quickly for some reason, but when I go through that, now all of a sudden it's putting them in the Elevate Team package versus the Elevate Standard. And why does that matter? Well, obviously it matters because you're able to upgrade the customer, but just as important, right? They're going to, if you have all of this flagged inside of your code and your product, and you know that, you're checking for these entitlements, next time they log into the product, now that they're on this new tier, they'll be able to access items that they weren't able to access before with only a couple of clicks through the licensing tool. All right. Last but not least, our 4th growth lever, timely and welcome upgrades. And I called it this for a reason. Welcome meaning the customer is going to welcome these upgrades. They're not going to revolt, to what you're doing. And gosh, this is probably, it's the most recent battle scar for me, my previous employer. And it's also probably the most painful is one day someone got an idea that we've got customers that are over their limits and we haven't charged them for it. And again, that's a really great opportunity. It means a couple things. Your customers are getting value out of the product. And it also means, there's revenue opportunity for you, right? To go out and get. They're using more than they're allocated. We allowed them to do that, right? And for whatever reason, probably because we didn't have a good license management system or customer insights in place, we weren't really aware of these situations, or at least not the scope of them. So one day we decided, let's do some house cleaning. Let's go in and it was a team, a special kind of team at our organization that did this. They went in, they grabbed the list of anyone who was over, and they just sent invoices out. And the math behind it was, we are going to make X number of dollars when all these invoices get paid. Looked great on paper. In reality, customers, as you can see from this image here on the screen, they looked at the bill and said, wait, what? I didn't even know I was over. If I was over, right? No one told me at my organization, and we would have went and did something before we got a bill. It caught them by surprise, and it had a really adverse effect to our, to how we brand ourselves as a service organization, and how we like to partner with our customers. And Unfortunately, a lot of customers pushed back on the bill and didn't pay or didn't have to pay. Some did, and then some churned altogether, right? They said, no, this isn't what I expected um, out of, this vendor. We're going to move on to someone else. And at the end of the day, it was actually a net negative for us. We lost money on the deal or on that project. So how could that have been made a whole lot better? Well, one, it's a lot of customer experience that's kind of built into this. But one, if you have better licensing, you can allow them to go over their limits. Now, we did allow for that, but we never kept it, we didn't even cap the limit. So they were able to go beyond it as far as they'd like because we didn't have the licensing system to stop them. We could also access a history of their license usage, right? So when customers came back to us and said, can you show me how I've used more than what I've been allotted? We didn't have that audit easily available. A licensing system can provide that. And it can also allow you to upgrade a customer to a new package, right? Or work through the upgrades better. I think the customer insights are actually even more critical here because with the foresight that a customer is going to hit their limits or is trending toward a place where they hit their limits, you can be proactive. You can have a customer success person reach out in a more friendly, more sympathetic way and say, hey, I noticed you're actually getting a lot of value out of the product. That's great. How can I help you, do that? How can I help you grow as you're using more and more of our product? And of course, you want to lace in the fact that, you're only contracted for this amount and you're at this amount or you're coming up to that limit. And you can quantify those opportunities. Maybe you want a senior person, maybe even want an executive reaching out if the opportunity is great enough. You can also predict better packaging based on this behavior, right? And say, maybe we should up our limits because it seems like everyone's hitting that limit and we can, charge more as a result. So a lot of opportunities here to do more there. And this won't be an interactive demo, but just a screenshot of our overdraft tracker today in Zentile. You can see a couple different metrics here. You see their entitlement seat count, which is the green line. You can see their overdraft limit, which is that level horizontal black line. And then you can see the minimum and maximum usage that customers are getting probably on a seat basis here with their licenses and when they've sort of gone over their limit at certain points during their contract. We want to take this even further. So again, coming out later this year, you're again seeing a sneak preview of ZenGain. These are wireframes of what we're currently calling overdraft tracker. You're going to see how many customers are out of compliance. You're going to see how many are nearing compliance, and you're going to see the customers that are trending toward their limit. So maybe they're 6 months into a 1-year contract and they're getting pretty close. And the nice thing here is, you could send them a bill, right? Much like my example from before, but wouldn't it be nicer if you just created a new opportunity in your CRM or sent an email to the sales rep, in this case, Jane or Joe, and said, hey, do you know that Ryan Machines or Acme Corp are over their limits? Think about that next time you're chatting with them or work that into their renewal, right? And you can take a much softer, gentler approach with your customer that's going to help both of you. And you're only seeing one of our kind of ideas here, but this is sort of our landing page around how someone might understand the situation with their compliance across customers. And also, again, how you can use that and use it as a launching pad to taking action and engaging with customers in a healthier way. All right. So this is my second to last slide. Takeaways. So these are a couple of the things that I would hopefully, you're taking away as a summary of what we learned today. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity here to grow your business, and play a role in that by investing in the right licensing tools and by in the right customer insights tools. And I think it works best when those two things are combined, right? And you can use your licensing data, right, to drive some of the insights that you're getting about your customers. and also about your business and how you can take advantage. We didn't talk a lot about the cost part of this, but again, with an engineering team that probably wants to go work on your software or your product, whatever that might be, they probably don't want to spend their time working on licensing tools either. And it's probably important to to maintain that focus of, hey, let's free up our team to go work on something else and not work on a licensing tool that you might outgrow or may have already outgrown. Again, unearthing revenue opportunities that you likely don't know about, or even if you do, maybe you can't quantify them quite right. Or maybe those are revenue opportunities that are coming in a few months and you want that sneak peek or just take a more proactive approach toward. Reducing risk, obviously a big one as well. And I can't really accentuate this one enough. The agility toward business strategy. We've seen so many changes in the technology space with, a lot of organizations moving toward subscription now, and now you're seeing some companies move back. Whatever it might be, you want to be able to have the agility to change. And, whether you're acquiring new companies or being acquired or creating new products or just understanding your customers in a better way, having that freedom to move to another model if you need to. And not having that slow you down, right? Ties back to the risk part in the bullet point ahead. You might hear this acronym all the time or every now and again, product-led growth, right? So letting the product do the work and bringing in customers, through digital advertisements, having them use the product and then moving them along into being paid customers, or sales-led growth where you're having sales members engage with customers along their journey. A licensing system as well as a customer insights software together, they can support both of those models. And I think it's really important that they do, so that you're not intervening, right? And having to turn on trials or do certain things versus having the system do that for you. So that's a really important takeaway as well. Great. Well, thanks again for your time. I know we're coming up on time. I want to leave some time for questions if there are any. I would kindly ask you to post any in the questions area here. And if you ever wanted to learn more, by all means, reach out to me and I can help. We can chat. I can put you in touch with the right people. I can bring in the right people. My email's here on the screen, and happy to chat. I'm still in my 3rd month here at Zentile, so I'm still learning from a lot of you. And that's frankly my job as a product person. So would love to chat. And if you ever wanted a personal demo from someone who's much better than me at it, you can go to the site here, zentile.com/demo, and we're happy to provide that for you so that you get that one-to-one demo experience too, and can see our software cater to your needs. With that, let me check on questions. All right, no questions at the moment. Give it a minute here, but I just wanted to say it again. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Really appreciate that, and hopefully we'll be in touch. Thanks again. Bye.